Polela Legal practitioners are the main culprits in the RAF R65 million
Now, the
fraud.
Road Accident Fund has reported it is making inroads in cracking down on fraudulent and corrupt activities, even though the fund has some financial challenges, with the Auditor General, of course, raising concerns over the RAF's financial reporting standards. The fund says it blocked the unlawful disbursement of close to 65 million rands worth of claims over the last 3 financial years. Polela, RAF spokesperson, joins me now for a conversation on this. Macintosh, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. 2 pictures that are emerging, which one is encouraging and promising, while the other maybe raises some concern. But let's start with the encouraging note. If you look at 2021, 2022, you would have blocked 448 claims, which are deemed to be fraudulent and corrupt. 2022, 2023, 713, 2023, 2024, 870. That's a picture that says, look, you are making some inroad as far as your effort in cracking down on fraudulent claims. Are these claims that are completely rejected, are not going to be challenged, they are not going to make their way back into the system somehow?
Yes, of course. We have concluded that these claims are fraudulent, and the people that, that filed these claims are not going to have a chance to either appeal or refile these claims. In fact, the case is closed as far as they are concerned. And if they attempt to do so again, obviously we're going to continue with the prosecution. But what I need to tell you is if you put in a fraudulent claim, we then refer it to the law enforcement agencies. So automatically, many of these claims are going to be referred to the law enforcement agencies for a further investigation. It's not just these claims that I'm talking about, 65 million. We've got a further 1 billion that we have flagged as suspect and fraudulent that we're going to be rejecting as well.
Yeah. Fraud is fraud, but what is the fraudulent nature of these claims? How do they become put in that basket to say these are fraud claims?
So we have a forensics investigation department which tests these claims as they seem suspect to us, and they confirm whether or not the claims are fraudulent. These are the ones that we have 100% proclaimed that they are fraudulent. Number 2, how this happens is obviously you get to the hospital with having an accident that is quite unrelated to the road accident, which is what we cater for. You get a person who renovates their house and fall off the roof, or you get a person who gets involved in a brawl in a pub. And then when they get to the hospital, they get either a tout or a lawyer who says, why don't you say this is a road accident so that we can get a buck from the road accident fund? But what happens is obviously you have to get a willing police officer to be able to file an accident report and go further than that and go to a health professional or a doctor who will then give you a comprehensive health report. But for us, we have become adept at identifying these claims to the point that we, in the recent past, like in 2 weeks ago, we announced that we had convicted 28 people. And these 28 people involved your ordinary claimants working with the police, working with doctors, working with police officers. And you can already see how this happens because it involves the claimants as well as these professionals, the police officials, the doctors, as well as the lawyers. Obviously, the lawyers are the biggest culprits in this case.
Yeah. Now, as a professor of private law, which I'm sure you've had a number of run-in with, Professor Henny Klopper, who says that as much as you have this picture where you are dealing with fraud, there's also another picture that remains, and this one speaks to the operations of the fund itself, where you have 104,000 victims without recourse because their claims have not been processed efficiently.
That is not, people, especially the lawyers, they always put at our doorsteps the mistakes when it comes to the claims. But we aim to finalize our claims within 120 days. And what happens with the lawyers, you must understand that with every claim the lawyer that puts to us, they have no intention of settling the claim unless they're making a lot of money out of it. So when they put in a claim, they make what you call legal and administrative fees. And obviously they run through the 120 days and run through the 1 year, 2 year, and up to 5 years, and sometimes up to 6 years, because the more the claim stays in their system, the more money they get. But number two, they take the claim to as many health professionals as possible to be able to make as much money as possible. Because you must understand that the lawyer automatically gets 25% of for each claim. And so if it's 25% of 800,000 rand is too small. And so the lawyer will push it to 8 million or 10 million. We have a case recently of a child that was knocked by a car and was discharged on the same day. But the lawyers sent them to as many health professionals as possible to be able to make sure that the claim gets as much money as possible. And they claimed over 8 million rand from us. And when the claim got to a judge, the judge gave them 800,000 because deservedly, these guys did not deserve 8 million. They only deserved 800,000. So that's what you're dealing with. When you get these claims sitting with the road accident fund, supposedly it's not the road accident fund that is sitting with them. It's the lawyers, because they're trying to make as much money as possible.
So are you refuting the claim that says there is a financial burden, a financial strain on the road accident fund to the extent that you now are approving or processing lesser claims, not necessarily because these are not legitimate claims, but because you just don't have the money to be able to pay them?
Let me give you an example. 5 years ago, we were paying around less than 40 million in claims. Right now, we are paying 45, 46 billion. So in the past 5 years, we have saved 24 billion, which we have given to claimants. We're actually paying more money. And obviously, we've got a lot of organizations from lawyers who want to paint a very bad story. And that's the reason for that we put in the RAF Bill of 2023, which amongst others puts a prayer to Parliament to get rid of lawyers altogether. And our argument is that, like SASSA and like the NFSAS, you can claim this social benefit called the Road Accident Fund without the assistance of a lawyer. And ever since we did that, the lawyers have been on a warpath to paint us as bad as possible and as useless as possible. And so I've refused those claims. In fact, we're paying more money. Yeah. We're paying more than 45 billion, whereas, 5 years ago, we were paying a lot less than that. We have saved 24 billion over a period of 5 years, and we've given that to claimants. And so we're not paying less money. They're lying to you because they don't want us to get rid of them, because the Road Accident Fund is a gravity train for lawyers, and they're making as much money as possible from us.
Yeah. So one example that they pull, and maybe you'll shed more light on this, is the Board Notice 271, which they say imposes, for example, extensive medical legal documentation requirements on claimants, which they will not be able to do by themselves. In fact, it will be a costly procedural barrier, if you like.
They're talking rubbish, because we, a couple of years ago, put in a pilot project where we asked people to come directly to us, and 3% of people come directly to us, and 97% of claims are represented by lawyers. And so we have proved that people can come directly to us, and they can claim from us quite successfully. And the lawyers burden the system because they consider themselves very useful, because they want steal a lot of money from the claim, and they steal the accident fund to the extent that the health minister, Dr. R. Saledi, says because the road department migrate to steal 300 billion from the department, well as and there we are not the problem. Any section that they want to quote, any section that we put up is to assist the claimant, not to make it more difficult for them to claim.
All right, let's leave you there. Macintosh, Polela, much appreciated.